Okay. So it's great to have for our first nonprofit commons featured presentation this year of 2016. We have Helena Galani, ErlinaAzure, here with me. She holds an RSA diploma, a master's in ELT, Applied Linguistics through Corpora for teaching education purposes. And she's certified in IT and advanced ICT skills. She has been implementing CALL, which I'm sure she'll tell us more about what that might be, into her teaching for more than 25 years in the fields of teaching English as a foreign language, with language schools and adult education centers in Greece, and also with formal assessment bodies, the UK University EAP courses, or as a private tutor. And then as the EduNation resident and Camelot Award winner in 2015, Helena supports the educational use of the machinima and SL environments in regards to using them to teach English as well. So Helena, if you can hear me, feel free to start whenever you are ready. And thanks for being here too. Let's welcome Helena and start when you're set.
Camelot Award last year. It's been nearly a year now. I've been making it a point to use Second Life in different ways in order to attract my students' attention. Well, but let me start with the cover of my presentation, which is just behind me. And if you have any questions in the meantime, please don't hesitate to pop them in the chat box, and I'm going to answer as many of them as possible. Well, I've started with something which is all Greek to you. Aristotle said that antes anthropi tuidene oregode physi, which means that by nature, people have been made to pursue knowledge. That's what we are born as, to pursue real knowledge. So, first, in a few words, my experience so far is that Second Life 3D Virtual World stands for immersion for immersion. Immersion for students that I have been here with, from their reluctance or fear of failure, or from previous negative experiences they've had in education, which is usually state education, mind you. And immersion, that happens, I mean, this kind of immersion happens through immersion into language, technology, creativity, and education and classes that they direct. It's a bottom-up approach based on self-directed learner inquiry. In a few words, I've tried to make this acronym. I don't know how memorable it can be. Well, Second Life tasks or games, whatever you want to call them, and simulations are for nous, which is intelligence and cognition, interactivity and immersion, creativity, opportunity, and inclusion. First of all, I'd like to say a few things about the way I see Second Life promotes nous or cognition. Nous is Greek for intellect or diania, and speech, reason, or logos in Greek. It stands for cognition from the word gnosko, which means I know, gnosis, you know, gnosis, knowledge, meaning to conceptualize something. It increases, I see from my experience so far with students in Second Life, it increases their concentration span, it strengthens their memory and recall, it empowers auditory and logic reasoning, it stimulates virtual processing. It's amazing what it does. It increases speed of processing, focus despite distractions. They can easily focus on the task that they have to do, even if there's so much going on around them, even if they have to deal with the technology at the same time. And they focus on metacognition, which is they draw their own conclusions about how we learn, how we think, and what cognitive skills are required in order to speed up the learning process. It's a creative, positive experience for them, and I develop prevention techniques. It's funny that they never get discouraged, even if they can't move around or even if they have difficulty physically manipulating objects. They are so persistent in the end that they manage to complete the tasks. Also, through Second Life tasks, I realized that they understand the world better and they focus on literacy. Sorry, it's a bit, I'm trying to keep an eye on your comments at the same time. It's not that easy. So we will come back to that. If you have any urgent questions, I think that through games that teachers, simple games that teachers can create through textures, by uploading sounds or models or animations, or even simple textures, a box with text or a picture can make miracles in Second Life. I was reading the other day, The Atlantic, on the internet, which said that on average each turn lasts for about 2 seconds and a typical gap between them is 200 milliseconds. So that's a bit difficult to teach students to do in class because they don't find the realistic value of carrying out a task, while with an avatar, with objects, it is more realistic for them either travel around or carry out a conversation, to agree or disagree. Okay, Rhiannon, that's fine, no problem. Yes, that's right. They can upload textures and put them in a box. Yeah. I'm going to show you an example of a game that I've created recently, which we're going to focus on in the EVO sessions also. Cultural factors also come into this. Yes, students become more aware of the differences between gender and status language and what choices you have to make, the different styles that they need to achieve linguistically. And even though they don't have eye contact in a virtual environment, or they don't see each other's facial features and gestures, they do actually find cues to understand the feeling of the speaker, the mood, the intentions, and every single cue counts. The voice of the volume, or the tone of the voice, the breath of the speaker, or the silence, and even smile. You can understand if someone smiles, even if that's on a microphone. And the timing, or the pace, the speed of delivery of the information, even laughter, everything plays an important role in order to facilitate discourse and dialogue. Also, they develop floor management strategies, and they can focus on orthophony. A lot of them realize just by listening to themselves on a machinima after they have played a game in Second Life that they need to improve and develop certain pronunciation skills, certain phonological skills. Also, some of them realize that in their first language, they haven't developed rhetorics and dialectics, and they find it fascinating to do this in an artificial world on the one hand, and in a foreign language, which is not exactly foreign because through a virtual environment, they come to love it. Now I'm going to put in the chat box, I did forget to do this earlier, I'm going to put this link from The Atlantic, the article that I was reading the other day. It was very recent, so you can always turn to it whenever you have time. So we're saying that through news they can develop cultural, linguistic usage and values. I was discussing it with my colleagues on EduNation Island the other day, and it's amazing how different cultures can be, but at the same time they count on common values that we have. For example, if someone disagreed with you in Greece, they would say, "What? That's wrong. I don't agree with you. And, you know, with this particular tone, it wouldn't be rude. Quite the contrary. It would be an indication of honesty, friendliness, directness, immediacy, which are values that we all appreciate. On the other hand, an English person would probably say, if they disagreed, well, don't get me wrong, but that's not the way I see it. And they would go on explaining how exactly they perceive a particular situation. Or they would say, excuse me, but we've got to agree to differ here. And that would be an indicator of politeness, tact, and effectivity. All this is so easy to do in Second Life. And I'll show you how in a minute. Actually, I'll show you now. There's a game, a simple game called Excuses. I'm going to put it next to us on the grass. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Here it is. I'm going to, sorry for that, to rotate it. And here we are. You can get the instructions by clicking on the button, the red button in the middle, just under the word excuse.
Choose in pairs act out role plays. Choose 3 situations of the same color.
Okay, and then I don't know if you can see the situations. They have to
in pairs act
choose
out role plays. Choose 3 situations of the same. In pairs act out role plays.
Yeah, they have
choose 3 situations
to
of the
choose
same
3
color.
situations of the same color and act out how they would respond. First of all, by clicking the top rods, the colorful rods, they can hear expressions that they can use.
Role plays. Choose 3 situations of the same color. I don't mean to inconvenience you, but I hope you don't mind, but I never meant to cause you any trouble, but I didn't realize it. I hope you don't mind, but I never meant to cause you any trouble. Terribly if I didn't realize it would be so terribly wrong. Would you mind terribly if?
So after
I never have thought this would
clicking
have
on the
hurt
rods
you so
on the
much.
top, they can make their sentences
you,
to
but
make excuses or to find an
would you mind terribly if?
And of course, then if you take frap, as we call it, if you frap it, if you make a machinima of it, then they watch it and they say, oh my god, I sounded terrible. I've got to improve this aspect of my pronunciation or my vocabulary and whatever. So they rehearse again and again. Sometimes they write down the dialogues, then they learn them by heart. So that strengthens not only mnemonics and vocabulary and grammar and syntax, but any aspect of the language. But they also become more aware of the differences between cultures and how they express their feelings. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, but please don't click it because it's going to be a bit noisy otherwise. Only I'll have to push it to the side a bit. Okay. Well, what we got next? The letter I for interactivity and immersion. Learners need involvement in interaction with their environment, real and virtual, through content, cognition, provide incentive, emotion. This is what Hillary said in 2009, and I find the whole truth in it in Second Life. This kind of combination between real and virtual is what is exciting for students, and it provokes their emotion. At the same time, it stimulates their thinking, their cognition. Jarvis sees this as a holistic approach involving both body and the mind. And it's worth pointing out here that we need to focus as teachers, we need to focus a little bit more on attitudes and values. About young learners, how can this immersion be achieved, you may ask? They're not allowed to get, well, I understand that they cannot get into a virtual world on the internet. So their only communication, their only contact with this world is through machinima. Give them a small picture, give them a sort of video clip or another student's machinima. They can come up with storyline, or a dialogue. They can give you directions and instructions about how the avatar should behave, what they should wear, what the environment should be like. And it is very exciting for them. It really involves thinking a lot. There's one example of this, which you could watch. I'm going to hop it in the chat box, and I did this with the help of my team on EduNation. Please watch a couple of minutes.
Hi Beth, how are you getting on? Did you have a good weekend? My weekend was amazing. I visited Dream Island with my cousins and we did a lot of things together. First of all, on Saturday morning, we did sea sports and swam.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Later, we drank our juice at the cafe. In the evening, we visited the island boutique and we bought a lot of clothes. I've got a dress with blue flowers, a very short skirt and a t-shirt with butterflies.
Okay, everyone, you're back. I see. Yes? Yes. Awesome. And you see this happen in Second Life. When the student comes in, they put the best of themselves in it in order to produce the most correct stretches, in order to correct them afterwards, and they contribute, which helps a lot. This is why, as I will tell you, I believe that lessons here provide exponential accelerated learning. Yes, I think that this is also justified by the theory of multiple intelligences, as Gardner put it. The more aspects are activated, of the human nature are activated, the more expression and the more reason students see behind the tasks that they need to carry out. Here's a role play that students did in order to find out more details about Hobson's Choice, which is a play that European baccalaureate students have to study for their university entrance examinations in the last class of secondary school. You might want to watch a couple of minutes. It's quite a long one, but please watch 2 or 3 minutes only, and you will get an idea of what they do by interviewing someone from in history, from Victorian times, actually. So please watch 2 or 3 minutes, and then when you come back, type in that you've done it, that you've finished. Mr. Hobson? Mr. Hobson, where are you? There's someone who'd like to speak to you. Where are you? Mr. Hobson, I can't see you. Where are you? Would you like to speak to this man? He's here for you.
Yes, of course.
What's your name?
So, my name is Henry Horatio Hobson. Nice to meet you.
When were you born?
I was born in 1882.
What era do you live in?
I live in Victorian times in 1880.
Where do you come from?
I'm from Lancashire, which is located in the UK.
What do you do?
I am a shop owner and I sell boots.
Where do you live?
I live in Chapel Street, Bedford, near Salford.
Why are you wearing a suit?
I owe to myself and my family self-respect. I want to present a good image for my shop to attract customers and to support my family.
What character qualities have you got?
People say that I am a drunkard. I visit Masons meetings every day and they criticize me about not taking care of my family. In fact, I don't want to show that I'm concerned about my daughter's future, as I'm particularly worried about Maggie.
What achievement have you made?
In the social discrimination we are faced with every day,
Learning classroom, or in a flipped classroom as we call it. I would also like to show you another example of how we have creative moments in Second Life through decision-making strategies, games. For this particular one, the student, first of all, had to discuss between them what they would do in this particular situation, how they would respond. Let me click the instructions.
Decision-making strategies. What would you do?
So while relaxing in the garden, you see a neighbor climb up a ladder to trim a tall tree. There seems to be some risk involved because the ladder is not very securely supported. What's best to do? Then they click.
Ask your neighbor to get down at once.
They click the options 1 to 3, up to 6, and thank you to JB. And they automatically respond to it saying, I would do this or I wouldn't do that because if I did this, and they use all their conditionals or their modal verbs.
Warn the neighbor of the risks, show them how to secure the ladder, then hold the ladder just to be on the safe side. Warn the neighbor that the positioning of the ladder is not safe, then go home and let everybody know how mindless and immature your neighbor is. Smile but say nothing so as not to distract and have a negative impact on your neighbor while they are trying to balance on the dangerous ladder. Get inside your house without saying anything. It's none of your business and your neighbor is an adult. push the ladder to show the neighbor that he or she has not positioned it correctly.
So you can understand, after the whole discussion, the last thing I asked them to do, yes, this is what the session EVOViLLAGE will teach teachers to do, how to make interactive games like this, how to insert sound, texture, models, animation, images, and also how to create role play or simulation opportunities, how to use a holodeck, how to create scenes, how to make the most of them for their teacher, for their students. One more point, which is the last letter on the acronym I gave you initially, opportunity and inclusion. I do believe that the world like Second Life, which is enriched, an enriched environment, offers an opportunity to all students for self-orientation, self-observation, self-reflection, self-confidence in all aspects of the language, but also as strategy developers, learner strategy developers. It promotes self-directed learning, as Knowles consider this the main concept of andragogy, working towards higher knowledge, degrees of autonomy, which is the ideal for any learner. They need to take on challenging tasks, and that's what they do. Constantly ask for more, in fact. It's a holistic approach, as we said earlier, according to Jarvis. This is how he sees holism in terms of body, because the student actually uses their body, their finger, their upper trunk especially, and their mind for knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values. When I first heard of the notion of exponential situations, it was not in a negative sense. In fact, Daniel Kraft, who is a trained physician and he's the inventor about while I was doing some translation on the open translation project for TED Talks, I had to translate one of his presentations talking about exponential medicine, and he's the founder of exponential medicine at Singularity University. So I do believe that this technology is exponential in that it accelerates their learning, and indicatively I will say that the aims of any lesson might be language functions, as we all know, politeness strategies or turn-taking techniques, decision-making, life strategies, and learner strategies, linguistic cultural differences. Oh, you did. Thank you. Thank you, Rhiannon. Okay. One last example, because I would like to show you this today, tonight for me, morning for some of you, is a project that some of my students worked on called Space Exploration, and it brings out all the good features of Second Life, but also their eagerness to do the research, to rephrase texts that they found after the homework they had done. If we have time, I think it's a bit long one. Please watch 3 minutes of it. Guy, to talk about space exploration. What do you think? Should mankind invest in the exploration of space?
I approve of space exploration because it boosts the natural human instinct to discover and satisfies curiosity. Besides, it urges the imagination of students, teachers, scientists, and researchers.
You've got a point there, but don't you think that there are enough wars, poverty, famine, diseases? So such projects would be a waste of money when medical research, for instance, is not funded sufficiently, while people struggle to live from day to day.
Well, to my mind, it isn't a waste of money. Quite the contrary. It's an investment as it promotes easy and direct communication through satellites, but it also encourages scientific aims such as weather forecasting.
You may be right there, but I ardently believe that missions to space do not benefit or contribute to life on our planet and absorb government funding by profiting private companies. Do you think this is fair on humanity?
I ardently believe that there are a lot of indirect benefits on humanity. For instance, through space technologies such as rockets and microchips, new technologies have developed as a result to suit our needs on Earth. Alternative energy sources used for space travel, such as solar power and hydrogen power, should be promoted through research and investment.
Don't get me wrong, but I'm convinced that miniaturization for space programs only serves the purpose of building nuclear weapons. There are so many needs on this planet that it would be far better to devote ourselves to worthier goals such as cancer research and renewable energy sources.
Please allow me to disagree here. As far as I am concerned, the fuel cells used in space travel and exploration are researched upon as a possible future power source for a cleaner...
I'm still here. I was hoping that someone would type in. I think it's better remove the board, the decision-making game and the excuses game, because it tempts you to touch on them, which may be destructive. Well, this is all what we're going to talk about during the EVO sessions. There is a number of EVO courses, like 14 altogether, if I remember well. And you don't necessarily have to be a TESOL member to attend the TESOL convention. It is for any teacher, and it covers different topics. But our session, which is Village, it stands for Virtual Language Learning and Gaming Environment. It's going to last for 5 weeks, and we're going to tell fellow teachers how they can create their language games, how they can build interactive objects, scenarios, role plays, global simulations. And we're really looking forward to this. This is a more, you can find a more detailed program on this site, but Joyce has also typed in the beginning of the session, the links where, thank you, yes, very much. If you want to have a look at the bibliography, suggested bibliography, I did try to touch some of the aspects of my experience here, both as a mentor or a moderator or a teacher and a teacher learner, because that never finishes. Lifelong learning. Thank you. If you would like to ask any questions, please feel free. Yes, the references I have put, you can see them on the board in front of you, the bibliography. Aristotle's is free, copyright free, so you can always find it online anywhere. Thank you. Thank you, Puffy. Well, would you... Yes, Rhiannon.
Yep, I know that Gentle asked about the slides. I don't know if you're familiar with SlideShare, but that's a place that
Yes.
you can upload them to. That might be great.
I could also upload them to my YouTube channel, and you can watch it in video form. I do like making videos. It's one of the techniques I've been using for throughout my career so far. So how am I going to let people know about my channel? Let me give you the link.
He's saying the words, but every response is the same. How do you take people to that level of understanding that speech and so on is not just a matter of vocabulary?
That's true, yes. Actually, that was the second stage of the learning process through the use of machinima. I go through two stages. The first one is impromptu discussions on the same topic, which I take footage of, and then they listen to themselves to correct. And this kind of musicality that you're talking about, and the rhythm, it does come with time, and some of them are so much influenced by their mother tongue that it's difficult for them to overcome this. You know, they sometimes never overcome interference, mother tongue interference in terms of pronunciation, but they are still easy to understand. They are comprehensible. They're just influenced. Their voice, the production is influenced by their mother tongue. So
there's also a difference in gender, right? It was obvious that the women, I think, catch on to that much faster. Or
that's true. Yes,
much better. Of course, we only had one man as a sample, but
yes, don't forget these are foreign language learners. Greek is spoken in this country. They walk around the streets not listening to English. So you've got to know the difficulties that they have compared with their mother tongue, and got to be aware of the fact that when they go home, the first thing they will hear is Greek. It's not going to be English.
Mm-hmm.
They need exposure, as they need as much exposure as possible.
And so are there practice conversation groups here that happen on a regular basis?
We usually, well, for the moment, at least, I have weekends on Second Life, as we call them, and we do consolidation work mainly.
Mm-hmm.
The time being, yes. Consolidation or flipping the classroom means introducing a new topic, so they come here, make all sorts of mistakes that they watch afterwards on a machinima, and they go about correcting, self-correcting in second stage of the process, learning process.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you too, Marley. Dances Yao, the other references are simply my starting points, just to justify the conclusions I have drawn. I haven't had the time to write something yet, but all this takes a book to write, or actually books, volumes of books to write about, and it would be nice if one day I could find the time. You know, it's difficult to discover, explore, and write at the same time. So mostly it's the references through presentations I have made, like for example the ESL languages. I think it's .org, which you can watch not only my presentations, but also my colleagues. Yes, it is org, languages.org. You can find the program and the recordings there. And I must actually say a big thank you to my colleagues and my trainers who taught me so much in such little period of time. I don't know who to start with. I'll start with Shelwyn Corrigan, with Carol Rainbow, with Crystal Snyder, Randall Sadler, Helen Carelia Condor, Barbara Novelli, Dennis Newson, Heike Philp. Am I forgetting? Helen. I did say Helen. And Sibir Edith. Hazel. Last but not least, Hazel Workman. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot from all of you. And I'm sorry, Jens, I haven't forgotten Jens. I haven't, no. So, something else you would like me to refer to? Yes. Thank you, Rhiannon.
I think we're good for now, and we're pretty much hit the kind of the end of things. So, but thank you, Helena, for coming in and being able to present, and even in a very kind of quick notice way. I had seen them prepping and posting about it. I think I don't think she's here today, but I had seen Christelle, who's not, I don't think she's here today, Christelle posting on this. I was like, oh, this is great, and folks should know about it. So that link that I put in, the Evo Village, I mean, that's for their course that they're going to be doing here in Second Life. So, and you know, obviously they're using a lot of these creating games and using machinima for language learning, but this is very applicable to any learning, or even I would say, you know, a good portion of us are, oh, hello, Crystal. And a good portion of us is also in the social good sort of nonprofit space too, because these techniques are just as useful in regards to the game-based kind of learning and also the machinima skills. So, you know, take the course and then look at some of those other TESOL classes that are happening. You know, there's even one that's happening in Minecraft, I noticed. So there are definitely some interesting ones there. So thank you again, Helena, and everybody else that's from the EduNation crowd that's in the audience. So thank you.
Thank you to everyone. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.
Yes, thanks.
Bye.
And yeah, let us know when you have the video up and